everyone, this is Chris9017, and what we're looking at right now is my Bachmann Meadow River Lumber Company 3-truck Shay. Yeah, this is Meadow River Lumber Company number 7. I believe the prototype for the Bachmann 3-truck Shay is Westside Lumber Company number 7, since the design patterns are very similar to this, from this locomotive to that of number 7. So you can see the cab is very similar to Westside 7, so is the tenders. Pretty much everything on this engine. The position of the dynamos. The only thing different would be the size of the air pump. Westside 7 uses a Westinghouse dual cross compound air pump compared to this one, which just uses a single piston. And they put the road model, Meadow River number 7. The Meadow River Lumber Company was a lumber company that worked in West Virginia from the mid to late 1800s until the 1950s. Meadow River Lumber Company number 7 ran there for a long time, and she was actually one of the last locomotives to be let go, along with the Meadow River number 6, which is the Heisler, now up at Cass Scenic. Whoa, the battery just went out. Yeah, the Heisler locomotive, which is Meadow River number 6, she's alive and well, and is, well, a backup engine hauling trains up to Bald Knob and Whitaker, whereas number 7, she hasn't run since the, since the early 70s. The engine was supposed to get a new front part of the boiler replaced, since it's pretty much up till here. The boiler is cut off and has been pulled off because they have noticed it getting weaker in the front, so they tried to get a replacement from Chattanooga. That didn't work because it was off by about 3 inches. They tried to get a replacement for the replacement boiler. That was also off by a few inches. And then shortly after, the roundhouse fire occurred, and the engine was badly burned to a crisp. So she's been sitting on the dead track and had her parts taken off her, and has been sitting there ever since, which I believe was 1973. Very sad. The engine's been sitting there rotting away, when in fact what could have been done, instead of just replacing the front part of the boiler, it would have been less trouble to replace the whole boiler. That way they can make adjustments on the frame, whether it was off or not. Whereas if it was this, that's more complicated if you're just dealing with a part of the boiler rather than the whole boiler. Oy, oy, oy. Anyway, this engine here, she's a Spectrum model. She's with an in-glowing firebox and ash pan. She's got an added sound from Phoenix, which is a PB11. Yeah, I'll lift the ash pan right here. And as you can see, she's got accurate crown, ring, pinion, and pinion gears. Also got the line shaft, inside cylinders with Stevenson valve gear operating inside, operating cab windows and doors, brass pop valve, and bell with metal clapper, whistle, metal handrails and stanchions, and piping. She's also got an authentic looking balloon stack, LED headlight, and an operating smoke unit with an on-off switch. It's pretty cool to operate. And also on the left hand side of the engine, the trucks are also pretty accurate. She's got a slip-on siphon hose, and she's got a steam jam brake, which is pretty awesome. Back in the very old days, when Shays didn't use air brakes, they only used air brakes on the train. For the locomotive, they used what is called a steam jam. Actually, a lot of locomotives used a steam jam, which supplies steam to a small piston that applies the brakes mechanically through by using steam from the boiler pressure. Steam from the boiler would be supplied through a pipe and would go right from where the engineer was controlling it from the brake lever, and steam would go rushing down to the brake cylinder, and it would apply the brake on the engine. Quite a number of shays had that, and Cass Scenic Railroad shays number 5 and number 4, and Roaring Camp locomotive number 1, the Dixiana, has one. Yeah, I'm not sure, but there are no doubt a few more operating shays that use a steam jam, but those are the only ones I know. Yeah, it's a pretty cool locomotive, but however, this thing, when it comes to lubricating, is a huge pain in the ass. There are a lot of parts. Oh, geez, it's a lot of work. It's time-consuming compared to, like one of these rod engines. These rod engines, all they need is just a little oiling underneath. It's really easy. Oiling underneath, and most of the oiling is done on the outside. And you're good to go. It only takes about 5 minutes to oil a 440 or 260. The Climax also right there, which is a newer Spectrum model, also doesn't take that long. It only takes about 10 minutes. This thing takes about a whopping 30 minutes to oil. Well, 15 to 20, but for an average person who is not familiar with a 3-truck, it'll take about 30 minutes. 2-truckers aren't as bad. It's the 3-truckers like this that get you. Also, the little plug-in jumper wire there has been known to break and pull right out of the socket. Connector, that is. I had to completely redo the wire harness for that because the wires from Bachmann are cheap. You need to really replace it with good flexible ones, because after a while Bachmann wires will become stiff and brittle and will then pull off their weld, whereas a lot of higher quality wiring won't actually do that. It'll stay nice and flexible for many years. LGB used good wiring, but Bachmann, they're not known for really good wiring. But they do give an exquisite amount of detail. However, their engines are not as durable as an LGB or Accucraft locomotive, so sort of you pay for what you get with Bachmann, and you have to be more careful with the Bachmann engine than you have to with an LGB or an Accucraft. Well, I'll give you a demo. It's a pretty nice locomotive. I know those are not the appropriate cars. Let's follow her. Really should get myself a tripod. It's really tiring to have to bend over. I'll bring her in. Yeah, that is a pretty cool locomotive, and although I hate to admit it, the Shay is a really awesome locomotive. Actually, it's very unique. Some people say it's like a sewing machine on wheels. It's really fun to watch. It's really neat looking. There haven't been much problems with this one, so I'm pretty happy with her. She's a good engine. My other 3-truck Shay, the Roaring Camp Sonora, that engine's given me quite a lot of headaches, but this one not so much. I've had a lot less problems with my Heisler 102 from the Oregon Lumber Company and my Climax Clear Lake No. 7. But this one has been giving me pretty good service. Had this engine for a bit over a year, and I'm quite happy with it. It's an awesome locomotive. It's a pain in the ass to oil, but once after you got it lubricated, it's a great locomotive to watch. You'll have nothing but fun with these, but just to make sure, you should know what you're getting yourself into when you're lubricating these engines, because it's a lot. I mean, a lot of moving parts. And they're very fragile. They can break easily, so keep in mind. Not to mention, the Shay here is really heavy. It's about 16 pounds. That's about the same weight as a LGB Mikado. Yeah, and that's pretty heavy. Well, that's it for now. Hope you enjoyed seeing the Shay. It's a pretty cool engine. This is Chris9017, out.